Thank you for continuing on with my video series, learning about how the Occupied Squares project on Second Life can perhaps help you in your city-based organization become more effective and become part and parcel of a much larger, perhaps even global organization of occupiers. What I've presented in previous videos is the idea of a vehicle, the engine, and the fuel. And video that you should have watched just prior to this one would have gone into detail describing what the vehicle looks like as a virtual institution that is actually free of hierarchy. What I want to describe in this video is the engine. The engine that will propel narrative building, because what we're after here, if you remember from the other videos, we're working on the idea that John Kingdon had the right concept about the agenda setting process. Agendas, political agendas, work when a problems stream converges with a policy proposal stream and a politics stream. So when those three forces meet, then you've actually got this rare opportunity, which actually is very rare, to pass a good policy proposal through the legislative process. What has to happen before you get that, is you have to have a good governing narrative in place. So this engine here that I'm describing on this half of this poster here is actually the mechanism for controlling that narrative so that you can not only build a good policy proposal, but you can actually build momentum behind that and impact and have an influence on the politics stream so that politicians, regulators are on board and the public support is behind this so that regulators will actually listen to this broadly building consensus in the public forum. So in order to have that happen, you have to create this good narrative control for governing. I've just outlined here in the poster, and then there will be other slides embedded in this video so that you can actually look at them later, that shows a virtual cohort. We've talked about how 18 individuals at the city level get together face to face. And then if you stack those cities on top of each other, in this diagram here there's 10 cities stacked on top of each other, then you've got those individuals working in the virtual realm together in highly specialized teams where each one focuses on their own policy proposals, and in the media team and the media group focusing on making their media actually highly effective so that you can contextualize and frame good arguments for policy change. That happens here through this training process. These rods that you see in this diagram here and these 18 pillars that are on top of it represent these same 18 individuals, but represented in a different way. So these people are actually face-to-face working in a city on a layer-by-layer basis. The people behind them are what we call the collective membership. They are the ones that provide the fuel, the ideas for policy proposals, the actual media content that we'll talk about in the database. But right now, let's focus on these flesh and blood individuals who have an avatar representing them in the virtual governing institution. Those avatars can get together with some of the best minds and brightest minds in the world in actually learning from these individuals. So let's say, as a professor, I get together and I put together an online program about media. That's my bachelor's degree, and it's my love in how to do podcasting and radio stations. So if I want to put together a program, I would send it out to the organization and say, look, we're going to create a radio station, and we want content for this radio station so that we have original programming going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we can do English speaking, we can do French speaking, we can do Spanish speaking, we can do any language you want through this podcasting. Now I have to teach everybody how to prepare a radio documentary or a radio news show. And then they can submit it 30 minutes and we can actually put it on the air for them. So I will teach this class. I'm a flesh and blood human being in this square rod here, but my avatar lives in this virtual platform, this virtual governing institution. Anybody who wants to participate in that workshop comes and learns from me about podcasting and how to run a radio station and how to upload and send me your podcast so that I can put it on, and then we can have this radio station going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that's how the engine works. It provides the continuing education for these individuals. By having those individuals participate in this kind of virtual realm, then we're actually steering the narrative so that it actually comes together. What happens before, what happened in 2011, is Occupy Oakland had their General Assembly meetings and they put their stuff on their webpage. Occupy Portland had their General Assembly meetings and they put their content up on the webpage. And so what we were having is, and when I tried to do the research into this, I had to look all over Hell's Half Acre in order to find what each one of these groups were saying, and then to actually publish it became an impossibility because I simply don't have enough time. And so if I don't have enough time and I'm really motivated to learn this, how are we actually going to get a politician to get involved, and how are we going to get enough momentum behind those narratives so that they actually become policy? And so that's what we're going to talk about next, is the use of a database, so that all of this fuel which comes out of these General Assemblies and all of these people who participate behind the scenes, behind these 18 individuals, you know, you might have 100 people showing up at your General Assembly in Occupy Portland or Occupy Melbourne or Occupy Sydney. So those 100 people all have good ideas. They can all generate media, and they all have ideas for good policy proposals. So finding a way to collect all of those ideas so that somebody in Miami can access them is the topic of the next video.